personal thought process for this project started on the first day that we got to Ban Hue He. We were dropped off at our homestays, and not long afterwards I kind of wandered into the kitchen, which is just the main living space in my family's home. And it was late afternoon, so I sat down, and I figured I could maybe watch my mother cooking dinner, maybe help her out. And I looked around the kitchen, and there's a fire in one corner, and a shelf with maybe a pot and a pan and a bottle of oil. But other than that, there was absolutely nothing. It was completely sparse, and I was looking pretty hard. I was looking, where is she going to pull out the ingredients for this meal? And the only edible things that I could discern in the whole kitchen were a head of cauliflower, maybe 2 or 3 eggs, and a bottle of oil. And so as I watched her over the next hour, hour and a half, she just produced this amazing meal. A ton of rice, that's pretty typical, and a side dish of cauliflower and then an omelet. And that's what we ate for dinner, and it was delicious. She just procured some herbs from the back of the yard. She just went outside and brought them in. I would have mistaken them for weeds. And she just cooked this delicious meal. So John and Ian and I sat down, and we wanted to figure out how this came to be. Like, where did this meal and all of the ones that followed it come from? Where were the ingredients coming from, and how the food was being grown? And in part just so we could show back home people what it actually means to be living in a rural ethnic minority Thai village and eating with them. And so we sent a letter to my host mother, asking if we could film a dinner, and we did this via our Thai teacher. She sent a letter, and so somehow this turned into kind of a unusual feast that they were preparing for guests. They put in a lot of special effort. The day that we filmed, they had been in the nearest town, which is about 2 hours by motorcycle, and they had been there for a doctor's appointment, so they were able to purchase all these special ingredients that they don't typically cook with. And they really pulled out the stops for us. They made a ton of dishes, and it was actually atypical also because it was my host father who cooked, and I have never before or since seen him in the kitchen, but I think seeing the meal, you can still get a sense of the kitchen and the cooking preparation that they use. And in addition to all of the special food that they made for us, you'll still see the real fundamentals of their diet: rice and egg and a lot of vegetables.
To truly follow the meal, we decided to find out where the food came from and how it was produced. We were able to trace most of the food back to the fields in which it was grown. Swidden farming, or slash-and-burn agriculture, is the norm here for the hillside tribes of northern Thailand. The Karen people of this particular village, Ban Hue He, have a fairly sustainable farming practice. This community never adopted industrial farming techniques, so without external chemical fertilizers or pesticides, they can be totally self-sustaining. They rotate between many fields, so each lies fallow for 8 years. During this inactive period, the villagers let cows and water buffalo wander the hillside, producing nutritious manure. Almost every family in the community participates in agriculture. Each family cultivates 2 acres. There is one big rice harvest every year, and other vegetables are grown and consumed seasonally. Usually, the rice harvest lasts a family the whole year, but families also contribute 10% of their rice to a common supply used by anyone who might need it. The fields have an astounding diversity. Rice, pumpkins, potatoes, herbs, and other vegetables are all grown together, creating a polyculture ecosystem which helps control insects and erosion. Many families also have small backyard gardens. These gardens are convenient for small amounts of vegetables and herbs used in daily meal preparation. Whenever a family slaughters a large animal, they share the meat among their neighbors. This ensures that everyone has a supply of fresh meat year-round. It also is demonstrative of the strong communal bonds the village depends on. For items that are hard or impossible to produce here, such as salt or cooking oil, a village shop stocks supplies from Mae Hong Son. As the community's disposable incomes have increased in recent years due to community-based tourism, they have been buying some processed snacks and beverages as well.
The culture in Bon Hue He is strongly rooted in food, especially compared to my experiences in the United States. Most families plant, grow, and harvest their own food, so they know exactly where what they eat comes from. Beyond that, they spend a lot of time preparing their meals. My family typically spends about an hour preparing all the different parts of the meal. In the United States, the situation is much different. In the United States, most people can't follow their meals beyond the supermarket where they bought it, and the culture seems to be geared towards spending as little time as possible cooking. Microwaves, prepackaged meals, and even gas stoves all facilitate quick, easy preparation. Here in the village, families cook exclusively on an open fire, and all the wood they use, they collect themselves. Very little goes into their food that they don't know intimately. All the knowledge and effort that goes into every single meal they make makes for food that is consistently very, very good.